You know what? Actually, Konda and Bernard, why don't you just hop on the couch now?
Okay.
There's room for all three.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can make it.
Whether you want to sit on the
Okay, I can sit on the
you
edge.
could treat it like a couch.
Uh-huh.
You know, ain't nothing.
Oh, you know, fit.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Ain't nothing crazy about it.
More
I feel
spacious.
better. Yeah, I feel better y'all having y'all here.
Man, all right. So let's see. I think we got.
I forgot to say cowpeas. Really in love with growing cowpeas too.
Oh yeah.
And okra.
I was gonna say.
I forgot okra.
Yeah.
What?
Things I love to grow, which are all African crops
Yeah,
that don't
okra.
take much.
Yeah. Okra.
Are they hard to grow?
Okra's easy to grow. Cowpeas are easy to grow.
Yeah.
They don't need a lot. They do well in
Yeah.
whatever soil.
You know. All right. So we got 3 farmers, and all 3 of y'all grow watermelon.
We all have watermelon at our house.
At
Yeah,
our
personally.
We do.
Yeah, we're not growing it here. You know what? Last year.
Oh, we
had-
did. We did grow
we did.
watermelons here.
My sister also works with us. She did. And last year, Jubilee Justice, it was still for our personal use.
Hmm.
She grew a patch of watermelon, and we got 2 out of it.
I got one of
You
them.
got one,
Mhm.
and I got one, and it was the best watermelon. It was so sweet. We went back to harvest it. Every watermelon was gone, completely gone. Coyotes ate us out.
Just saw scratch marks in it.
Took every single watermelon.
Hmm.
It was so painful. That was a sad day.
Man, so do you know what type of watermelon you grew?
I don't remember what type it was.
I saved the seeds
You
actually.
saved the seeds? No, I don't know what they
Big
were.
red one.
And so, even saving the seeds, right? Like, talk to people that don't know how to grow watermelon. These watermelons that they're getting this summer,
Yeah.
the ones they're
Save the
spitting out.
I think watermelons are in terms of like getting into seed saving, watermelons are the easiest.
Easiest.
All you need to do is rinse them off, let them dry,
Let them dry.
and then you could store them.
Yeah, I have 2 packs of watermelon seeds, one yellow
Hmm.
and then a red, and I just wash them off, let them dry. They're in their packs, and you just then put them in the ground next time. I made seedlings.
Hmm.
Do you make seedlings or do you put them directly? Do you do
I did both.
both?
in my garden.
Yeah. What do you do?
I did transplant.
Transplants. Yeah, I did transplants.
And just think like with every single seed that you get from your watermelon plant, just think, oh, this will be a whole watermelon.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2 or 3.
Or 2 or 3.
2 or 3. It's amazing.
An array of seeds,
I
with
know.
more seeds.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And how much like water does it take?
That's a good question. I'm not a professional watermelon grower.
I haven't been growing watermelons long enough. I can tell you what I've observed
Yeah.
in Mississippi when we grew watermelons. We probably had like a 10 by 50 foot square space. It was a nice size.
Mhm.
We maybe watered once throughout the whole season, but we were also getting a
Decent amount of
decent amount of rain.
rain.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining our rain conditions are different from the California grower you had. Like
Yeah.
with the exception of last year, it was a little bit of a drought. We get a decent amount of rain every few weeks.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to water it too much.
Nice. And so let's start with seeds as a metaphor. When you think about seeds and watermelon as a metaphor, Bernard, you said you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, what kind of correlations are you
Well,
seeing?
yeah, so I'm thinking like the seeds inside of that watermelon. Imagine those being my children. And then the meat of the watermelon, which holds the seeds. Imagine that being my wife and our home. And then me, imagine me being the outside, the protector, the one that has to take care of the meat and the seeds inside of this watermelon. So I see a watermelon as a metaphor of a family, per se, So me on the outside, the whole hope, being strong, stopping anything from just coming in and destroying the seeds and the meat of the watermelon. That's what I see as a good correlation, Is that?
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Konda?
A metaphor for watermelon. Let me think about it. I think that that all the black little seeds, I think black people love watermelon because of, one, it is indigenous, but all those black seeds actually are our community, are all of us as black folks, you know, the red of the blood that holds us together. And to see it being metaphorically thought of like that. And the juiciness is just, we such some juicy people, man. You know, the culture, the red is the culture and the depth of our blood and the culture and the juice from that feeds all of us. And we have such a rich and juicy, delicious culture as black folk. And so that's kind of how I see it. That's how I would make a metaphor around that. Yeah, that sounds right to me. Round is circle. Circle energy is really important. And I think that the idea of a round or oblong circle, as we stay together in circle, will grow more healthy and keep the family going in the community.
Anything else you want to add on to that, Myles?
I'm not sure if this is a metaphor, but I think, some things we talked about today, we talked about disconnection and aversion to land. And I'm thinking of like, okay, what might attract back with land, black folks back with land? And you know what would be an awesome link and will be an awesome link to get people back to enjoying land is a watermelon. Like I said, like what will cut through all the stereotypes, all the bullshit. Like the watermelon, I see as essential to bringing us back to the land. And even as if it's a gardener or a farmer, like okay, Konda is your first year gardening. Like I would tell you to throw a watermelon seed in the ground. And,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. And early memories with watermelon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So me, I remember my grandfather growing watermelon, and he had a big patch. Ariel had all those, like he had one just like that. It was never, nobody in the family ever wanted for watermelon. If you wanted one, ask for one and you could have it. And so we grew up as a watermelon eating family. That's what we ate for lunch when we would be out working on, in the fields and on houses. He was a mason, and we would be bricklaying. And lunchtime we have watermelon sandwiches, and that is just something that I grew up around. Speaking to the stereotype, I heard about the stereotype of black people eating watermelon. I've seen pictures of the black people with the watermelon, but I never experienced it until I met my wife, and she does not eat watermelon because of that.
I know, it was weird when I meet black people who don't eat watermelon.
Yes,
because of the stereotype.
Because of
that's why she doesn't.
I feel like that's what it is. I don't know what her real reason is.
She does not eat watermelon.
But she does not eat
weird
watermelon.
When you find black people who don't eat watermelon. I don't know if I could be with somebody that.
It's hard.
I think that's a deal breaker.
Our kids do, so they make up for it.
Well, that's almost a deal. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find it really strange when I find that. Yeah, for me, I grew up in Southern California, where there's a near the border. Thank you. Near the border of California and Mexico is where my family's from. A place called El Centro Imperial Valley, watermelon country. And where I grew up is where almost all the watermelons come from in California. Is from Imperial Valley, where my family's from. And so we would go to our grandmother's house. We lived about, I don't know, a couple of hour and a half away from there, in San Bernardino. And we'd go to, and it was just watermelons as far as you could see. This road that went through watermelons, and we would get to our grandmother's house, and everybody grew water. We had watermelons in the backyard too, and it was, the whole place smelled like, it was like where watermelons grow. Like, think of like hundreds and hundreds of acres of watermelon, and that's the road would go right through it, not near the Salton Sea, and yeah. So when I think of watermelon, I see that road, I see my grandmother's house. And all of us children, all of our cousins, we'd get together and meet at my grandmom's house, and watermelon was our main thing. Cantaloupe too.
Cantaloupe. I was just gonna
Cantaloupe
say
too.
cantaloupe too, boy.
We ate a lot of cantaloupe, but watermelon was always my favorite. And she put us out on the back porch to spit out the seeds, and we would just sit back there, me and our cousins, and eat watermelon all day. And it was hot, 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 hot in that blazing sun. That and also one other memory is shucking corn. Shucking corn, we that was our job on the back porch to shuck the corn and then cook the corn, and we eat corn, corn on the cob, and watermelon. That was all summer long.
I can I'm not feeling any childhood memories come up, but 2 years ago in southern Mississippi, I had my first orange watermelon, and it changed my life. Period.
What do you mean? Do you mean orange as in yellow?
Orange is an orange.
Yeah.
Change
The
your
meat,
life.
the meat
You
of it.
you don't know
haven't
about
seen one?
you don't know about them orange watermelons?
Hey,
Oh, you don't like the watermelon? I'll take
see?
that. You know, I did a watermelon fast once.
I hear a lot of people do that.
I did that. I had a roommate,
told me about
Namanya,
this,
and I.
yeah.
We lived in New York when we were in Harlem, and we decided to do a watermelon fast and went it for a month.
Okay.
And we lived right down a hill, and at the top of our hill was a store called the Red Apple Store, and we would go up there and get one watermelon every day. We'd pick a big, and the Asian woman who owned the store, she would go, "What are you doing?" We would get a watermelon. I'd pick a big one. Namanya would pick a big one. We take it home, and that's all we ate the whole day.
Okay.
We'd have one watermelon, and we would just go through it. And then by the next morning, we couldn't wait, and and we did that for a month.
That's it.
Nothing else. We ate nothing else for a whole month, and just dropped. I mean, you just peeing all the time and dropping weight, and it was a cleanse. It's the best cleanse I ever did.
Huh.
And I always think I need to do the.
How's your
watermelon
how's your
cleanse again.
energy feel?
My energy was not great, but but there's sugar in that, right? So that was good, and I wasn't working anything that required. It was a hot summer in New York, and I was able to just kind of chill. And I worked at night, so but yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing to do that for a month.
State to state, coast to coast. What's just some sentiments and statements, call to actions that you have when it comes to being black and a farmer today, and how to participate in it?
Well, speaking to stereotypes again, and black people, we need to know. We need to know, and they need to know that this is not a step back. Farming is not taking a step back to slavery. We need to get out of that mind frame. We need to start growing our food again, because that's essentially growing our own food is way better than the food going to the store and buying the food that their big ag is growing for us, because that's what's killing us now. Not working in the fields, 12 hours a day until we die. That's not killing us. What's killing us are the chemicals that they're putting in our foods that we are forced to buy at the store, because nobody's taught us about a small little plot of land in front of your house that you could grow your own carrots and whatever on. Just start small, grow something small. It'll give you joy, it'll give you pride when you see a seed come up out of the ground into a fruit, onto your plate, into your mouth.
Yeah.
That's a whole process that gives you pride and joy. And I definitely want all of us to experience that.
What about you, Konda?
Call to action. What he said.
Yeah.
What he said. Honestly, it's like I think that growing food would bring us back to community as well, because you don't do it by yourself, and it brings community back together again in a joyful process, and even collective meals together, from the food that you grow. It brings back community, and I think that we need community. We need to be back in, and this whole divide and conquer methodology that has separated us is really very successful, and it'd be beautiful for people to come back around. I mean, the kitchen labor goes back, right? When you come together with your family in the kitchen, people are cooking, And it can be so also in the field, in the garden, growing food as well as cooking it. It's such a special relationship. There's nothing like it. So, my thing is to encourage the little ones to learn that food doesn't grow out of the grocery store. Where does it even start? Get outside. Get outside and get close to the earth. Put your hands in the dirt. Bring the children and let them see where food comes from. It's really important. I grew up on a little bit of a farm with my grandparents, and that's how I knew. I knew where food came from. But kids think that it came out of the store. And so I think that that's a real important exposure to that and where food really comes from.
Call to action from this end of the couch. For farmers and just black folks in general is to get into wild spaces,
Yeah.
I think farmland is, I wouldn't call it an unwild place, but it is manicured in such a way. But to just be in wild, like where we are right now, even though this is a pecan orchard, this understory is wild, but just to be in wild spaces and take your shoes off.